Alright, YouTube, I don't know if you're actually going to see this, but this may go up the same day as the first actual episode of the Stellaris portion of the Spore to Stellaris series. I'm not sure. However, I figured I would walk anybody who might be interested through the Empire creation process and just kind of how I'm going to try and translate everything you just saw in the last few episodes, or last, I think it's going to be about like 9-10 episodes of Spore into what is hopefully going to be like another, I'm not sure how many episodes of Stellaris, we'll have to see, but we'll have to see how many episodes we get, because I'm not sure how I'm going to break that up yet. This is for those who are not familiar, Stellaris is a 4X real-time strategy game where you basically build an interstellar empire and then you basically kind of civ it up. The way I usually like to explain it to people, it's civ in space, but the choices actually matter to a degree. I mean, it's not one-to-one perfect, but it does allow for a lot more customization and a lot more roleplay, I would say, that Civ or quite a few other games, even in Paradox's wheelhouse. I would probably say Crusader Kings is probably the maybe not the ultimate of this, but I would say it's a lot more roleplay heavy, where you get less customization of sorts, at least without mods. Yeah, so this is me creating an Empire Stellaris, and this portrait, this like kind of bug thing, is what I'm kind of using to represent our species, the Caucasus, from the Spore section of this series. It's not a one-to-one by any stretch of the imagination. We weren't these weird like little grub things coiled up in what looks like a clam on legs, but it's kind of what we got. So, you know, I never expected our creature to survive transition perfectly. I was wondering for a while if maybe like reptiles or maybe mammals had something that was kind of that similar body shape to what we had, but this is kind of what I could find. And I'm recording this like after I had finished recording the Spore series. However many more episodes it's going to be. Again, I kind of want to get 2 episodes out of Civ Phase. I think there's enough material there to actually do that, but I have no idea. I haven't edited yet. We'll see. So we selected our species portrait. So this is what we're going to look like. Apparently that is female. Interesting. Next we need to choose an origin. Now, given how the Stellaris playthrough ended, I think it should be fairly obvious that we ended of the Stellaris with Spore. The Civilization Station Spore ended fairly on a not exactly a ridiculous note. In fact, I would argue that the game ended pretty much on the basic bitch prosperous unification ending. We just brought everyone under one rule. The last guy surrendered, as they usually do, and then we are now just a unified civilization. We've gotten to space. So I think, honestly, we're just going to stick with that. I mean, if you wanted to pick an origin, I was also considering going for evolutionary predators, which is actually something that was added very recently. Because, let's face it, our species, as it kind of says here, basically that we are kind of like recruit from Warhammer 40,000. We're like gaining genetic material and gaining like new traits based on what we eat, which is almost by definition what we are doing in Spore. So I figured that would be an interesting way of doing things, but I'm trying to think of how much of the very abstract sort of depiction of evolution in Spore should really be seen as literal. You know, how seriously should we take it? I kind of want to, especially for a first Stellaris series on this channel, I kind of want to, you know, because it says right at the top, it'll block everything except for mutation ascension. I kind of want to have our options open So on the off chance if we end up doing something interesting happens, we can kind of choose other things. So I think we're just going to go with prosperous unification, and we'll just see how that goes. I was also thinking under one rule and just kind of have the joke that the tribal leader from the start is somehow like an immortal dictator. Actually, we could do that. That's a thought, actually. You know what? I don't do this option very much. You know what? Yeah, let's do under one rule. Screw it. We are officially going to have, like, our little, ruler character, and he's going to be the tribal chief. Okay, so that means we have to be a dictator, right? In order to have this origin? Yes, we must be a dictator. Okay, that is the only requirement. Dictatorship just simply means that we only hold elections when our, leader dies. So, easy enough. Okay. So now that we have our limitations for our origin set, we need to choose our ethics, and of course, again, explaining more kind of for people who may not understand entirely what's going on here. This screen here is easily one of the most important screens in the game. It is where you choose at the start what your civilization is going to be, how it interacts with others, how it deals with problems internally, and how it expands, and, you know, how it basically does everything. And you basically choose from, we could either be a Gestalt consciousness, we can't because we have to be a dictatorship, and that would require us to either be a hive mind or a machine intelligence. However, we could pick from any of these sets of ethics that will then give us passive bonuses, but also then limit us as to what our civics can be. So we can't be like fanatic egalitarian and a dictatorship. That isn't going to work out. We can be fanatic egalitarian and then a democracy, but it seems like here we cannot use autocratic, must have democratic government system. This one simply says we cannot be autocratic, meaning that we can't be an imperial or dictatorship thing. But we have to be a dictatorship for our origin, so we're going to pick something else. Well, I think, given how we kind of steamrolled the civilization phase with spiritualism, we kind of have to be spiritualist, at least a little. Probably authoritarian as well. Just a bit. Actually, considering, you know what, let's be fanatic, spiritualist, and authoritarian? I guess that kind of works. In which case, then, we can pick our civics, and these are the parts that get kind of weird. We can pick all kinds of bizarre things. Probably, like, necromancy, or we can all just be really horny. We're not going to do those things. What are we going to do? I think eager explorers could be interesting. We start with, like, a technological disadvantage, but once we kind of get farther out into space, we can, you know, basically catch up and then even excel our people, or our excel our, like, neighbors. That could be interesting. In order to reform out of this civic, we would have to research subspace drives, and that's a thing we could do. We could change these around once the game actually starts. Do we want to do eager explorers? I mean, considering we, like, kind of set the, this playthrough to start basically immediately after we built our first spaceship, you know what, let's do eager explorers. And for our second civic, we can do Crusader Spirit. Ooh, that's tempting, actually, considering we are, like, we were very big on going around and decimating people with religion. That is tempting. See, the other thing I'm thinking is that, like, in the creature stage, we were kinda like, the religious aspect didn't come in until the Civ phase. Now, mind you, that's because that's the earliest that can come into in the Civilization phase, in Spore. But, we did kind of go all in with it when we finally got to it. But I was thinking, like, beforehand, we were, like, really big on making sure that nothing was a threat to us, and anything that was a potential threat to us, we just got rid of it. It was gone. Creature stage, tribal stage. If anything was even a little bit hostile to us, we just wiped it out. Which does make me think that instead of fanatic spiritualists, we're going to be normal spiritualists, but then we're also going to be a bit xenophobic. Not necessarily that we hate aliens, more that we just are distrustful of them. We kind of are, we don't like dealing with others, but we need to be ready in case there is a threat from out there, but we aren't necessarily going out and looking for a fight. Less Imperium of Man, more, I'm trying to think of, like, a popular sci-fi that has this kind of, I guess kind of like the humans in Halo? Maybe a bit of a reach there, but, you get what I mean. Alright, so does that, like, change what ethics we have available, maybe? Not really. It doesn't seem to change that much. Selective kinship could be interesting. Slaver guilds, not really our kind of thing. I don't think we really would have been big on slavery. Memorialists, nah. Functional architecture, I mean, all of our buildings in Stellaris Civ phase were like big tenement blocks and things, so maybe. Society is renowned for simple yet functional architecture. There are those who would refer to this building style as boring or even depressing, but in most cases, neo-concrete does the job just as well as any other building material. So, basically, we can just, from the word go, just kind of do whatever we need on our planets. That could be a thing. Be able to, like, build the planetary infrastructure really quickly and very, very cheaply. You know what? Out of a lack of any other ideas, I do actually kind of like that idea. Alright. So, now that that's kind of figured out, so we picked our civics, we picked our ethics, we picked our leader type. Now we have to pick our traits. Currently we have... Why do we have the perfected genes thing? Okay, so our leaders get less experience, but our leaders last longer, and I guess that's part of our, that's part of our, what's it called? Origin. Okay. In that case, we're going to have... What are we going to have? I think we're going to be... Well, actually, you know what? The first trait we kind of need to have, and I'm pretty sure we can have this as... Can we not have this as... Weird, hang on. Egg laying. Seriously, you can't have egg laying as, arthropods. Huh. That's kind of dumb. Yeah. I mean, bugs do lay eggs, though. They're just not, like, particularly delectable looking eggs. I guess we'll go with incubators as a payoff there. Basically, that means our populations will grow really fast at first, but then as more and more people are on the planet, it'll slow down to actually, like, go slower than average, which is good because it means that at the start, when we're trying to get our planet set up, we can actually get more people. What else? Camouflage? We did have camouflage. We did, like, kind of try to sneak around people, although admittedly we didn't blend in all that well with our environment. Flight, we did not fly. Chromalogs, we did not do that. Spatial mastery, not only capable of flight with species. This is unique cerebral adaptations, enabling them to instinctively process and navigate three-dimensional spaces. That is definitely not the case. I know if a freaking tribal stage, what a tribal stage pathfinding was like. That is definitely not what we are. I think we are... I think we're going to be... traditional? Yeah, we're fairly... I would argue that we are a traditional people. We kind of stuck to one sort of strategy for a lot of the game. And... like, we could take, like, one more point that takes two, and then we can balance it out with other stuff. Adaptive? I mean, not really, because we've, like, lived in the same biosphere, like, for the entire game. Like, you know, Spore only really has, like, one biome. So I wouldn't say we're that... we're not really charismatic. Conformists? I mean, we were kind of quick to, you know, unify as a species as soon as somebody, you know, had a firm enough say in the matter. You know, everybody just kind of folded, so maybe. Yeah, well, yeah, let's do conformists. Anybody who plays this game enough will probably tell you that I'm not doing this for efficiency. I'm doing this purely based on vibes. Nascent stage for a negative would be interesting, because the nascent stage one, species gives birth at an early stage of development, resulting in a prolonged period where the young are incapable of contributing to society. During this time, they remain blissfully unaware of the responsibilities and burdens that come with sapience. Yeah, so basically, rather than being born fully grown, we have, you know, children, basically. That is a very... like, it's basically just saying children. Which is fair. And honestly, we do that. So I would say, yeah, we do have nascent stage. You know, in a tribal stage, you know, all the little kids running around after they're first born. They don't stay in that stage for very long, but they do. And then we need, like, one more little negative in order to take off the edge. What of all these do we have here? Decadent? We don't like doing the work. I wouldn't really say they're a decadent people. Sedentary. They don't like moving around a whole lot. No, because we migrated all the time. Slow learners? Solitary, no. Wasteful. Yeah, well, let's just do wasteful. That's a pretty good, easy pick. Apparently, if we really wanted to, we could have acid blood. Oh, no, we couldn't, because we're not, toxoids or necroids. Alright. Alright, so, obviously, species name is... Caucasus. This is probably... Alright. We have a species biography. I'm not gonna... I tend to not bother writing those. We know what the backstory of these guys are. And we're going to have... what is our empire name going to be? Actually, here's a question. What does it randomly generate for us? The Caucasus Covenant? Holy Caucasus Mandate? Nation of... What? Alright. Caucasus Foundation. Theocracy of Eregia. Again, that's... What? Caucasus Order. The Caucasus Blessed Council. And it's... Order of... Okay, you know what? Maybe we should, like, name our planet first in order to have it come up with something. So we are going to be a continental world. Homeworld name shall be, Caucasus? That was what the planet was called, right? Yeah, and then I did look, that was what our star was called. Our star was called Stardays. And we're going to start in a random single system. Alright. And we're going to choose our city and rooms. Honestly, that building system kind of works. Actually, the... what is it? Cybernetic cities, I think, also would work. In fact, yeah, let's do that. And then, oh, hang on, room should they be in? This is just determining the background. This doesn't actually really change anything all that much. I'm thinking that. I think that works. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back to the names of our empire. Oh yeah, we also need to, KSV? Wasn't that the prefix that we put on Soviet rockets? I actually can't remember, but you know, if it's gonna be KSV for Caucasus Space Vessel. Sorry. And we're going to go to, where is it? It's at the top, because it's arthropoid. What name should we give them? Let's give them this, because this sounds kind of like Simlish. I'm not going to try and read all those out. Mainly because my microphone will probably try to strangle me as a result of making it try to process all the sound of that. What was I doing? Oh yes, I was trying to figure out what the hell the, okay. Foundation of Startes, Caucasus State, Theocracy of Startes, Mandate of Caucasus. It's not too bad. Blessed, hang on, we can Caucasan. Alright, you know, that works. Caucasan Divine Order. Covenant of Astartes, Caucasan Covenant. Seems to be really big on this being like a very spiritualist sort of empire, and I guess it's not entirely wrong. Sacrosanct Caucasan Foundation. Holy Caucasan Polity. Caucasan Commonality. Yeah, you know, let's just go with the, actually, no. Holy Council. There you go. That's the better one. Advisor voice. I think we kind of just have to go with,
machines are an affront to nature. These profane constructs must never be allowed to... Oh, wait.
Sorry, that line still cracks me up. Is there any other, like, ones? No, I think, honestly, that would probably be not a bad one. This basically, this is just, like, the announcer for, you know, things like under attack, or, you know, building complete, you know, whatever. You know, usual, like, RTS stuff. Also, I probably didn't mention, traits. They're like civics, but for your people rather than your entire civilization. Every species in the game will have a different set of traits, and then depending on later things, you can get like technologies that allow you to like augment populations to have like cybernetic augmentations or like biomods or whatever. I'm usually not used to like explaining my thought process behind these. But yeah, that's going to be how that goes. Right, so we did that. Okay, our flag. So our empire was like primary color was like kind of like that color, I want to say. So if we can like do something around that color, maybe like a nice purple and black kind of color. Maybe purple and white. Yeah, purple and white, because like our creatures, like their skin was like kind of like an albino white kind of color. So yeah, we can do that. So it's like a purple and white. And then for our symbol, do we have? Oh, Actually, you know what? That works. That kind of looks like a stylized depiction of like what our people used to look like. Okay. And then our ship sets, we're going to go with arthropod, and you can... Oh, wow, that was like nowhere... Hang on, is a science ship maybe like... Habitat Complex, Juggernaut, Colossus. Oh man, the Colossus is just a big old beetle. Science ship. Yeah, I did not get that right even slightly. I mean, I guess this has the two thrusters in the back and like kind of a horseshoe. No, I didn't even slightly get that right. Look, I was designing that from memory. All right, I take no responsibility. Okay. Now we have the question of what our leader is going to be named. I was thinking of naming him after the captain name that we randomly got when I just kind of sped through the space stage, like, opening stuff. I forgot how much of effort was, which is why I was kind of, like, running through it. I think we'll just kind of assume that that's just some random dude. Who knows? Maybe I'll go back and rename them. Name, and then we're gonna be female, I think. Yeah. Crumclack, Anaverta. I need to think of names. Zenkickin. You know what? It's not the worst. Alright, and then color variants. We have kind of just, okay. Ruler traits. This is like specifically for this ruler, which is even more specific. We can have wise mentor. Oh, right, because they're like a special like super ruler at the start, they get like different options. So we actually had to read these. Wise Mentor. What does this do? More XP for all of our leaders, and more leaders available. Okay. Pious Ascetic. Ooh, more society research per bureaucrats, and less pop housing usage, and less pop amenities usage. That could be good. Commanding presence. Monthly loyalty from subjects. Okay, so like if we have vassals, we can use that. High King, more stability, more elite happiness, and more elite pop resource output. Interesting. Genome Artist. We can get more... This wasn't in the game the last time I used a Civic. Interesting. More pop upkeep, less. We can modify our species more. Interesting. Hang on, if we were to take that, right, would that give us more points now? No, it only gives us modification points, which means we would have to unlock gene modding later and use it. Okay, let's not. Ever vigilant, better code breaking. You also have negative traits. Why would you want negative traits at the start? Brutal, more crime. And horses and telepaths reduce happiness. Well, that's... Why would you take these? I guess for, like, roleplay reasons. Oh, wait, because you can... Oh, you can take them because then it gives you, Huh. You know what, let's take Blunt. And then we're going to take Pious Ascetic. And we're going to take... Wise Mentor? Nah. I think... High King. Okay. So... Our diplomacy isn't going to be very good. Actually, I just realized that might mean we have 0 envoys at the start. Because I believe xenophobia reduces it by 1. Hang on, let me double check that. No, it used to do that. It does not anymore, so we're going to have 1 envoy at the start, which, when we actually get into the game, you may see why that's an issue. But, alright, so we're going to have 1 envoy. I guess we could, like, headcanon that is it's like the king themselves is like going out and, or I'm sorry, the matriarch herself is going out and like personally talking to these people, which is why it's kind of less capable of diplomacy. But they are a pious ascetic, and they are the grand ruler of our people. And you know what? I think that's not a bad idea. Can we have it be a commander? We can have it be a commander as well. All right. I like that. I like that as an option. Okay. I think that's going to be it. And so you're going to get to see what all happens to these guys, or possibly you've already seen some of what happens to these guys as we continue into the next evolution, shall we say, of our series, Spore to Stellaris. And I hope you all have been enjoying so far, and I hope you all continue to enjoy in the future. Take care.